Hello, everyone. I'm Lauren Nile, and I'm talking today to everyone who considers themselves to be a member of the president's voting base. Now, because of the time limitations involved in recording on my iPhone, I'm actually going to have to make this podcast in two parts. So I do hope that you listen to this part one, in its entirety, and that you go on to listen to part two. Now, what I'm going to talk to you about is the election next week. And I'm going to be upfront with you. I'm a Democrat, and I'm going to try my best to convince you to vote Democratic in next week's election. But I'm not going to ask you to believe me. I'm going to give you a way to prove to yourself that you must vote Democratic next week. See, I want you to prove it to yourself. I want you to do your own homework. I know that as a Democrat, you probably won't just automatically believe what I say. And you also probably think that your politics and mine are totally different. And you're probably right about that. But if you can get the information yourself, you won't have to believe me. You'll see it for yourself very clearly. So I'll start with saying that I know that you're not fools. But what the president and what the Republicans try to do time and time and time again is play you for fools. They try it over and over. Just think about it. First of all, Donald Trump assumes that a lot of the people in his base are poorly educated. You heard him say it. You heard him say that he loves the poorly educated. If you didn't see him say it, then just YouTube it. So this is the first thing I want you to prove to yourself. Just YouTube, quote, Trump loves the poorly educated, unquote. Now, why is that? Why does he love the poorly educated? Well, it's because he thinks that he can easily mentally manipulate people who aren't highly educated. He counts on being able to do that. He and the Republicans count on you just following him blindly. He even said so. You remember? He said, quote, I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and not lose any votes, okay? It's like incredible, unquote. Don't believe it? All right, then this is the next thing I want you to prove to yourself. Once again, just look it up in YouTube. Just YouTube, quote, I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue, unquote. That tells you all you need to know, my friends. Donald Trump and the rest of the Republicans count on being able to mentally and emotionally manipulate you. They count on being able to make you essentially two things, mad and scared. And they do that, they play on your emotions, because they don't want to run on their voting records. And in this election, they don't want to run specifically on their health care voting record. Instead of running on their voting record, they try to scare you and make you mad at somebody or make you afraid of somebody. It's their boogeyman tactic that they've tried to use on you time and time and time again. They essentially just try to play you for chumps every single time. And they're using this caravan issue to try to manipulate you again. The caravan issue for Trump is just like the gay marriage issue was for George W. Bush. You remember how during his campaign, George Bush was harping on the one man, one woman in terms of what marriage is supposed to be. Protect the sanctity of marriage. This country needs a constitutional amendment saying that marriage is only between a man and a woman. Do you remember all of that? He just wouldn't let it go. He harped on it for his entire campaign. But then after the election, George W. Bush didn't mention gay marriage. I don't remember him mentioning it once after the election, not a single time. And not only did he not talk about it anymore, he also didn't do anything about it. And now, the legality of same-sex marriage is the law of the land. It's legal throughout the entire U.S. My point, my friends, is that George Bush didn't care one iota about gay marriage. He could have cared less about same-sex marriage. He just used it to try to sucker you, essentially to try to play you for fools. So again, the whole caravan issue for Donald Trump is what the gay marriage issue was for George W. Bush. Something he just wants you to focus on in order to distract you. Something he wants you to fear. He wants to take your attention away from what he and the Republicans are actually doing. Listen, the people in that human caravan are over 1,000 miles away, and if they ever get here, it won't be for months. So there's no national emergency regarding the caravan, And there's certainly no need to send military troops to the border to keep them out. At least not until maybe January or February sometime, if then. And listen, the last time they tried to scare you by telling you that there was a caravan of people coming in, remember that? They tried it a couple of years ago. They arrested a total of 14 people. 14 people. So once again, this caravan issue is just meant to raise your fears and to distract you. It's just like Donald Trump telling you a few days ago that he's going to pass a middle-class tax reform law before the midterm election. In other words, before next Tuesday. Now, you know that it's not the president, it's Congress that passes laws, and the president signs them. Well, Congress isn't even in session right now. All the congressional members are back home in their home districts campaigning. They're not even in session, so they can't pass any laws between now and the election. And Donald Trump knew that full well when he told you that just a few days ago. And now he's saying that he's going to sign an executive order to ban birthright citizenship. Well, whether we like it or whether we don't like it, birthright citizenship is in the Constitution. It's written in the Constitution, the same Constitution that he says he, cares so much about. So he knows full well that he can't end birthright citizenship with an executive order. He knows that. It requires an act of Congress. He's just trying to distract you from what the Republicans are really doing and what they'll do if they stay in power after next week. So what are they doing? Well, that's why I'm trying my best to convince you to vote for Democrats next week. You see, the truth is that, and there's absolutely no hype here, the truth is that the Republicans are working to take your health care away. Now, I know that all you want is good health care for you and your family. I know that you want coverage for pre-existing conditions to be there for you and your family. And that's all everybody wants. Democrats, Republicans, we all want that. But let me ask you a few questions. How's your health? Do you think that you may need health care anytime within the near future? Do you have a disabled child? Do you have an elderly parent? Do you have a parent who's in a nursing home that either Medicare or Medicaid is paying for? Are you having to choose between paying for rent or for medical care, or paying for food or for medical care, or paying your heat bill in the winter or for medical care? Do you have a child between the ages of 18 and 26 who's still covered by your health insurance? Are you receiving ongoing treatment for a medical condition for which there once was a ceiling, but for which there now is no longer a ceiling? Do you have a pre-existing condition that had previously prevented you from being able to get health insurance? Well, if the answer to any of those questions for you is yes, think carefully about who you vote for next week. The Republicans want to take all of that away from you. They want to take it away. Now, you may be wondering, but why? Why do they want to take our health care away? Well, it's because they want to give a big favor to their millionaire pharmaceutical executive friends who give millions and millions of dollars to their campaigns. It's simply because they want to take care of their wealthy drug company friends who contribute so much money to them. Now, how do I know that the Republicans want to take your health care away? Well, I know based on 4 things. But you'll have to tune into part 2 to hear what those 4 things are.